Chapter 2. A Stolen Kiss. The glittering taboo contents of the box sparked a bubbling enthusiasm. "Oh, wow!" he exclaimed brightly before tilting his head. "Wait, I'm confused. Why are you wasting it on me? And how long does it last? Is there a certain amount that corresponds with its potency? Does the person forget what happens when they're under effects, or do they remember everything? And I feel kind of bad about this. Is this considered cheating? How would you even get someone to willingly take it?" You smiled and rolled your eyes. He's doing that mumbling thing again. You got up and walked out of the room. "I'll be right back." "Wait, I still have questions!" he hollered down the hall. A moment later you returned with a spoon and a small cup filled with water. "Only one way to see the effects," you said, holding up your cup. "You can't mean to test it yourself!" "Yep," you stated confidently, scooping up a generous spoonful of the granules and stirring it into the water. "If I do anything that makes you uncomfortable, just smack me and tell me to stop." "I'm not gonna do that!" He looked appalled at the idea. You chuckled in response, lifting the cup to your lips. "Wait!" He held up a hand to stop you. Are you sure? Don't worry. I'm pretty sure the effects don't last very long. It's not dangerous." "If it doesn't last long," he began. You sensed his uncertainty. "It's still long enough to make a good impression, Midoriya. Long enough for you to ask your girl to the dance." He blinked at you as if he had just realized something. Okay. If you insist." His expression appeared almost guilty. "To your health?" You raised your glass. He half smiled as you tipped back the liquid into your mouth. It's sweet." You closed the box and placed it over on the nightstand alongside the empty glass. As you sat back, you noticed Izuku eyeing you with quiet anticipation. You shrugged. "Maybe it doesn't work." "I think it takes a little while. I probably have to digest it." You sat there for a moment, thinking to yourself, "You're a genius, Traveler. Not only did you just find a way to boost Midoriya's confidence, but also a perfect way to make a move without being held accountable for it." "Oh no, Midoriya!" you exclaimed all of a sudden. What's wrong?" "I just remembered the right amount to take was a teaspoon." His body stiffened and he clenched his teeth in horror. "That was way more than a teaspoon, Traveler!" he bellowed, panic-stricken. You smacked your hands over your mouth. "What are we gonna do?" "I don't know!" you hollered back in mock despair. "Now I can really go all out with this." Maybe I can dilute it. I'll go get another glass of water." "Good idea!" You were about to bolt out the door but stopped abruptly, gripping your stomach. "I suddenly feel really warm inside." You turned to look at him. He gawked at you, frozen in place. "Yeah, go get some water, quick!" he ordered. You smiled beguilingly at him. "Whatever you say, sweetheart." You winked and swiftly ran out the door. "Oh my god, I did not just say that." Luckily, you had gotten away before he saw your embarrassed blush. "Sweetheart!" You heard him shriek from down the hall. You smacked your forehead with your palm in regret. You filled yourself a tall glass of water in the kitchen, mentally trying to swallow your fears. "There's no going back now. You have to sell it," you told yourself. You took a deep breath, trying to calm your nerves. However, it was certain that you didn't need some dopey Quirk to fall in love with this boy. You had fallen under his spell long before today. "Okay, that's it then. All you have to do is tell him how you really feel." You peeked through the doorway to see him scribbling away in his tattered notebook, muttering away the details of this new and magical quirk. "Oh, hey, are you all right?" he asked, brows knit together in concern for you. You smiled sweetly and nodded. You took a sip of water and sat the glass on your desk before crawling towards him on the bed, refusing to break eye contact with him as you did so. "What you doin'?" you sang, fluttering your eyelashes at him. "Just writing down this quirk in my notebook." He smiled in a fanboyish sort of manner. "It's really fascinating." "I think you're fascinating," you complimented openly. Was all he could squeak out. "I wanted to show you something cool I learned." You reached out to him. "Let me see your hand." He sheepishly dropped his pencil, holding it up. You took it in your own, flipping his palm upwards. Recently I've been reading up on how to do palm readings and tell people more about themselves. Can I do yours? Sure, he agreed, watching you in a hypnotized sort of way as color began to rise in his cheeks. You cupped his hand in yours, tracing a feather-soft line with your fingertips. Well, see here. You pointed. This line is the heart line. It says that you're extremely kind. And also a hopeless romantic, you added for fun. You don't say! He chuckled, scratching the back of his neck. And this is the fate line. This crease says you're resourceful. And this one means you will inherit a large fortune. Is all of that true? He inquired with a tingling interest. No, you admitted. I just wanted an excuse to hold your hand. You watched as Midoriya's face instantly turned crimson. He shimmied backwards until he became cornered by the headboard of the bed. He began to avert your gaze, flustered by your undaunted words. I think the quirk dust might be kicking in, he observed, using one hand to cover his eyes since the other one was still held captive by you. Maybe you're just charming, Izuku, you suggested, scooting closer to him. He mumbled something along the lines of, seems unlikely. Is it all right if I call you that, Izuku? Sure, why not? He giggled in discomposure. You reached out and pulled his hand away from his face. Don't hide, you whispered softly. You have such beautiful eyes. That's nice of you to say. His tone was low, hushed just like yours. His body sheepishly retreated from your intense gaze. What you're doing is bad, and you should feel bad. Your conscience pestered, but you ignored it. Calmly and slowly, as if not to jinx it, your hand drifted to his freckled cheek. Midoriya watched your every move, as if completely captivated by your proximity. He gulped nervously, his palms beginning to sweat. You stroked his cheek in a soothing motion with your thumb, noticing the warmth rise as his face darkened. Izuku, you cooed, slowly descending upon him. You were wrong about what you said before. You are definitely special enough to stand out. You think so? He tilted his chin up slightly as his eyes traced the details of your features. You shifted your body weight, deliberately interlacing your fingers. You granted him a small nod of confirmation, your face only inches apart. You're irresistible. Anyone who doesn't see that is blind. A fierce passion radiated from your tone. You watched as his blush grew, spreading from his cheeks all the way to the tips of his ears. Wow, His irises sparkled, gazing at you through half-lidded eyes. You used your grip on his face to gently reel him in. To your immense surprise, he put up no resistance. What's going on? You wondered. He has feelings for someone else. Why is this going so smoothly? I can't be that alluring to steal his love away so easily. His eyes were already closed as he craned his neck towards you, begging. Midoriya could feel his heart pounding in his chest. His face burned so hot that he thought he might spontaneously combust like Todoroki, but for some reason his eyelids still felt heavy. He held his breath, waiting in anticipation and disbelief. Before he knew it, a pair of soft lips met his. You felt his body stiffen for an instant. You were careful to not make any rash movements despite the swirling excitement churning within you. The kiss remained soft, and you weaved your hand into his feathery curls. Finally, his body relaxed as he sighed into the kiss. At a loss for words, all you could do now was show your true feelings in the affectionate tenderness of your touch. You felt bold, empowered, and decided to release his hand and snake your arms around his neck. Midoriya voiced a pleased little hum, his doting fingertips lovingly caressing your jawbone. This is wrong. The thought struck a chord in him, causing him to pull away despite how tempting the situation was. I let myself forget, he realized, a twinge of guilt afflicting him. What kind of person takes advantage of their friend in a situation like this? The beautiful moment was cut short for you as he retreated, twisting out of your grasp. Your lips disconnected with an audible smeck. Wait! His firm hand pressed against your shoulder. Your eyes shot open, shocked by his abrupt change in disposition. What's wrong? You asked, shying away from the rejection. Izuku could read the hurt on your face, and it cut into him deeply. I can't do this! He shut his eyes tightly, stricken with shame and self-loathing. He leapt off the bed and grabbed his things. "Wait, don't leave!" You pleaded, instantly regretting your ill-considered plan. "I have to go!" he called, disappearing around the corner. The front door slam echoed through the apartment. Ugh. You flopped onto the bed, screaming out your frustrations into your pillow. Well, what did you expect to happen when you kissed a boy who has a crush on someone else? Dumbass. Midoriya hung his head in exhausted defeat. He didn't know if the decision he made was the right one or not. That kiss was so enticing, so heavenly. I must be the dumbest guy on earth to have passed that up. He smacked his forehead in resentment. But it doesn't mean anything unless it's real. He lifted his head to the sky and sighed. Oh, how he wanted it to be real. Izuku turned to look in the direction he had come from, concerned for the emotional state you might be in right now. I probably shouldn't have left like that.